Welcome to the Great Divorce Podcast, hosted by divorce financial analyst and retirement planning counselor Andrew Hatherley. Join Andrew and guest experts as they help late-life divorcees build the financial and mental foundation for a meaningful future. There is life after divorce. Now, on to the show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Great Divorce Podcast. Before I begin, I wanted to let you know that I've just published a short booklet all about Great Divorce. It's titled, How to Create Financial Independence After Mid to Late Life Divorce. The guide is short, easily readable, only 10 pages long, and better yet, free for you. Just visit my webpage at transcendretirement.net to download a copy, or email me at andrew@wiserdivorcesolutions.com, and I'll send you a copy. Okay, let's get on with the show. Divorce professionals like to be cute and talk about the F word in divorce. The word they're referring to is the word fair. The idea is that fair is a bad word to use in divorce because it's subjective and emotional. Fair means different things to different people. What feels fair to one spouse may feel deeply unfair to the other. Attorneys may not like to use the word fair because the law doesn't aim to be fair. Most states use equitable distribution, which means a division that is just and reasonable, but not necessarily equal or emotionally fair. And community property states may look for a 50-50 split of marital assets. Courts are likely to look at factors like income and future needs, not necessarily subjective fairness. As a financial advisor specializing in divorce, I understand that marital settlements need to be based on a clear financial analysis and my client's needs, not necessarily vague ideas of fairness. Instead of asking, is this fair? A better question might be, is this settlement workable for both of us? Does this settlement allow us to move forward with a stable foundation? Does the settlement reflect the financial reality and legal context? I think one of the major reasons that divorce professionals disdain the word fair is that it's usually said in the context of the expression, "That's not fair," which, of course, is a signal of emotional distress more than a legal or financial issue. And as we've discussed many times on the podcast, heightened emotions are counterproductive to mediations or negotiations, especially if both sides dig their heels in on the issue of fairness. So there's a little background on what many people consider to be the F word in divorce. But I think there's a much more problematic F word in divorce and in life overall. It's a word that can hold us back, root us to one place, and prevent us from growing as human beings. The F word I'm talking about is fear. I want to talk about the debilitating nature of fear and delve into the topic of whether older adults are more prone to fearfulness and anxiety, and what we might do to combat fearfulness and live a happier, more fulfilling life. And of course, we'll talk about fear as it applies to going through mid to late life divorce. Fear can have a huge effect on how we deal with divorce and how the ultimate settlement comes out. Recently, I read an interview with English actor Rupert Everett. He's in his mid-60s now. And the interviewer asked him a question about aging. And I was taken aback by his response. He responded that one of the things he noticed about getting older was the level of fear he felt on a daily basis. More fear than he felt as a younger man. His comments resonated with me because I find myself worrying about silly things all the time. I've always been a bit of a worrywart, but as Mr. Everett has experienced, and I'm sure many of you listeners also, it seems to have increased as I've gotten older. And it got me to thinking, why would this be the case? I'm financially secure. I'm in a great relationship with my wife. I'm healthier than I've ever been. What have I got to worry about? And then I think, maybe that's it. I've got a lot to be thankful for. Maybe I don't want to lose it. When you're younger, and I know this is an exaggeration, but financially at least, you've got less to lose. And this is probably why fear can play such a strong role in gray divorce. We've had all these years to build up equity in our homes or accumulate retirement savings, and suddenly we're faced with the prospect of losing half of it. Or maybe we've planned to retire early and now we're coming to terms with the realization that maybe we can't retire when we wanted to. I know when I was going through my divorce at age 52, my ex, in one of her angrier moments, shouted at me that I would be working for the rest of my life to pay her spousal support. If I wasn't so fearful at the prospect of never being able to enjoy retirement, I might have considered how irrational that fear was. At least in the state of Nevada, it would be highly unlikely that I would have to work for the rest of my life to pay spousal support based on my age and the duration of our marriage. As it turned out, my fears were completely overblown, and I know older divorcees who've experienced the same thing. You're not going to be greeting people at Walmart when you're 80. You're not going to be a bag lady. And yes, if you play your cards right, you will find love again. When I host workshops for people going through divorce, one of the key points I like to get across is that when the divorce is over and the settlement is done, it's going to be nowhere as bad as we had imagined. Of course, younger people getting divorced have the benefit of time, so they may not be as fearful about their financial future. They may have 30 or 40 years of work to recover from the financial setback of a divorce. In most cases, their highest earning years are ahead of them, not behind them, and they're not going to experience age discrimination. Psychologically, when you're younger, you may also have that sense of immortality. You do stupid, dangerous things as a 20 or 30-year-old that you would never consider doing in your 60s. Maybe that's because our brains haven't fully developed, or maybe it's just that we don't have the reservoir of experience to know not to do something, or maybe it's just because we're young and dumb. Which is not to say we can't be old and dumb as well. Last year, I managed to badly scrape up my arm in a bicycle crash in Croatia because I was going far too fast down a hill. I hadn't crashed a bicycle like that since I was 10 years old. But at least in my 60s, I had the sense to wear a helmet. So maybe fear was a great protector there. And you see, that's the necessary thing about fear. It's hardwired into our DNA. It activates the amygdala, that part of the brain that's involved in detecting threats. That part of the brain that says, we'd better get our spear ready because there may be a saber-toothed tiger around the corner. This is commonly known as the fight or flight response. Our body gets filled with stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. Our heart starts to race, our breathing quickens, and our muscles tense. We get ready to fight or to escape. This is when fear is the most useful. The problem is when there's no danger. When we're anxious, this physical response still activates, keeping our body in a constant state of stress. Fear overrides rational thinking. When you're afraid, the prefrontal cortex, that part of the brain that's responsible for reasoning and decision-making, becomes less active. It makes it hard to analyze the situation calmly and to think clearly. It creates an awful mental loop, which can lead to impaired thinking, which increases a sense of helplessness, which just ends up feeding more fear. And fear does feed on itself. In avoiding the thing that makes us fearful, that thing seems even more dangerous. Probably the most common fear people have is public speaking. Many of us can relate to how that fear can just build and build and build as we avoid confronting it. And the more we avoid confronting the thing that makes us fearful, the fewer opportunities we have to vanquish that fear. So we're always on high alert. Fearfulness is obviously not simply a function of age. I mentioned how young people may tend to engage in higher risk activities. But how many of us boomers joke about young people and their need for safe spaces and mental health days off and their propensity to take offense at insignificant or non-existent slights? It's too simple to say that young people today are all delicate snowflakes, or on the other hand, that they're all crazy daredevils. Of course, being old doesn't equate with being fearful or anxious. I know many people in their 70s and 80s who are happier than they've ever been. And a lot of that comes down to perspective or resilience built from experience. Many older people are better able to regulate their emotions and are less reactive to outside stimuli than younger people. They're capable of not letting things bother them. Why that is? It's probably a combination of many different factors. But some older adults are more prone to anxiety or fearfulness. For instance, consider a few things. Older adults are more likely to have health concerns. Chronic illness, cognitive decline, or physical limitations can create fear about dependency, pain, or mortality. Loss and isolation, the loss of a spouse, friends, or the loss of social roles through retirement can lead to increased loneliness and vulnerability. Change can instill anxiety. Some age-related changes in the brain may affect how older adults process stress or threats, increasing susceptibility to anxiety. Of course, we all know that life transitions like divorce, retirement, downsizing can amplify anxiety. Fear of falling is a common fear among older adults, which can lead to reduced physical activity and withdrawal from social interactions. And there's also the fact that anxiety disorders have often been underdiagnosed in older populations, which means some older adults may suffer quietly. Psychological research suggests that older adults can take several powerful steps to combat fearfulness, whether it stems from anxiety, loss of control, health concerns, or life changes. If you find that fear plays a larger part in your life than it should, consider the following. Challenge those fearful thoughts. Instead of resigning yourself to thoughts like, I'll never be as mentally sharp as I once was, say to yourself, I'm going to keep my brain and body active to reduce the effects of aging. Practice identifying and reframing thoughts like, I'll fall and never recover, to, I can take steps to reduce my risk and stay active. It's important to understand the interrelationship between the mind and the body. By practicing deep breathing, meditation, or yoga, we can lower our cortisol levels, regulate our nervous system, and enhance our emotional balance. I can't underestimate the benefit I get from regular physical activity. I go to the gym 3 times a week, and the benefits are as mental as they are physical. Exercise releases endorphins and promotes a sense of control over your body. Even if you hate the gym, walking, stretching, gardening, swimming, cycling can all improve your mood and reduce fear. Isolation intensifies fear. Connection calms it. Make sure you connect with your friends or join groups. I mentioned a few minutes ago about avoidance behaviors. Well, avoid avoidance. The best way to get over our fears is to face them. Now, I know you're saying easier said than done, but there are steps we can take gradually to overcome our fears. For me, going to Toastmasters for 6 months gradually reduced my fears of public speaking. Of course, I'm still nervous when I speak in public, but the kind of debilitating fear that causes intense anxiety and the inability to sleep, well, that went away. Structure in your life can create a sense of control. Fear is fed by uncertainty. Structure reduces that uncertainty. Regular routines regarding sleep, diet, social activities, and regular monitoring of our finances can all help create a better sense of control over our lives. And yes, sometimes we need help. Sometimes we need to speak to a therapist or a doctor or a support group. We don't necessarily need to tough it out by ourselves. To sum it up, older adults, anybody really, can reduce fear by engaging the body, challenging fearful thinking, building social relationships and emotional support, and regaining control over the parts of a life that still offer freedom and joy. There is life after divorce. Don't let fear drag you down. If you're going through divorce, or if you've just emerged from divorce and you're worried about your finances, please reach out to me. I offer a free 30-minute strategy session on the financial issues of divorce. Visit my websites, transcendretirement.net or wiserdivorcesolutions.com to schedule a call. And while you're on the website, don't forget to download a free copy of my guide on how to create financial independence after mid to late life divorce. Or just email me at andrew@wiserdivorcesolutions.com for a free copy. Until next time, take care.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of the Grey Divorce Podcast. To learn more or get in contact with your host, you can visit Andrew's website at transcendretirement.net. Also, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. That helps others find the show, and we greatly appreciate it. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
Information provided is educational only and should not be construed as legal or tax advice. Each situation is unique and should be discussed with your tax or legal advisor prior to implementation. Andrew Hatherley is not an attorney and does not provide legal advice. Information provided is financial in nature. Advisory services offered through Hatherley Capital Management, LLC. Divorce financial analysis services offered through Wiser Divorce Solutions, an affiliated company.